Hello guys, and welcome back to Leah's Lifestyle. Today we are back at it with another book club review of Invested. We're almost done. We're in chapter 9, which means after this chapter we only have 2 more left. Nobody ever calls me princess. I can call you Princess King. King can be princess too. So, like every other chapter before this, you can follow along per month if you're doing the month things, or per week if you're following us. And this month, or this week, we're working on checklist of expensive errors, writing the story, inverting the story, and practice shares. So, without further ado, I went and read through it. So let's go through the notes that I took. So the first thing on this first page that I want to look into is she talks about confirmation bias, and she says behavioral economics. So I feel like there's some type of study, so I marked that down, and I want to go and find the study so I can look into that a bit. I'm gonna look up behavioral economics studies on confirmation bias. Confirmation bias. I've been hearing about this for some time now, but I haven't done any real studying on it. And confirmation bias is when we tend to believe people in our environment who have views that agree with ours without even realizing it. So I'm just going to make a little check mark here and write that down. When we tend to believe people in our environment who have views that agree with ours without even realizing it. Researchers have found we actually avoid doing so on subconscious levels. I'm going to make a little mark here. Subconscious. Okay. Next. Why is that falling out? Excuse you. My little page marker. Okay. Next thing I marked was Buffett and Munger combat their confirmation bias by keeping each other around to shoot down investing ideas. So I'm going to make a little one. Who can shoot down my investing ideas? And then I'm going to make a little mark. I need this. Okay. Guy Spear regularly met with groups of other investors he called the Pose to debate investing ideas, which saved him from missing some holes in a company he otherwise would have probably bought. I'm going to make a mark underneath that. Will help find holes in companies. Okay. I'm a lawyer. I remind myself. I love to find the holes in an argument. If I could find the holes, I would find my mistakes. That's how I would not lose money. So I'm going to put a little star. Find mistakes. I wanted to ask my dad how he handled his own bias against finding the holes when he loved a company. Socrates was pretty good at making arguments. Did he try to argue against his own argument for a company? I have a checklist of expensive errors that other investors and I have all made. I have to answer every question on the checklist, and I don't get to cut corners. That's what her dad said. Philtown. Okay, so, went past one too many. So, I'm going to write down expensive errors checklist. Expensive errors checklist. Okay. He says, avoid regret, but ruthlessly asset why you made the mistake. Harder than it sounds. A lot harder. Why did you miss it? What did you learn? Not the easiest questions to ask. So, I'm going to say, what did I miss? Question mark. What did I learn? Question mark. Not the easiest question to answer. All right. And then there's a book that we need to check out. So I'm going to write book and my stars, so I remember to check it out. It's Risk Intelligence by Dylan Evans. Dylansevans. Then I'm going to circle that and write read. Okay, so she says risk intelligence, which analyzes how people can more accurately determine risk. Spoiler, we humans are terrible at determining risks. Author Dylan Evans noted that expert gamblers who win or lose based entirely on assessing the odds and risk were brutally honest with themselves about their strengths and weaknesses by keeping notes and reviewing what worked and what did not. I was trying to do the opposite of gambling in my investing practice, but the methodology still applied. Okay. The next, she says, Monish Prabhai keeps his checklist to only 7 questions. Dad keeps his list longer than that, but still short. He's afraid if it's too long that he'll skim it and miss something critical. Here, my dad's list of warning signs, basic errors that were there before the investment failed and caused expensive problems. So, I'm going to say, keep checklist short. And then we go on to the first part of it, which is the meaning. And under that checklist for meaning, the first one is on edge or outside circle of competence. The next one is no gurus buying. The next one is not a business I enjoy studying. And the next one is industry or company or product is not easy to understand. Then we flip the page. Why does that keep coming out? It's always stayed in perfectly fine. I'm not sure why it's falling out now. Stay in there. It's my little bookmark. Okay. The next one is did not do inversion. Industry on decline. Demand, unfriendly union. Demand for the product in 10 years is uncertain. Industry rate of change is high. Did not read 10 years of footnotes in 10K. And then the next one is moat. And under moat, we have moat is not intrinsic. Moat is not durable. Moat is not being widened. Big four numbers are not growing. Book value plus dividends in particular is not growing. Owner earnings and free cash flow is not predictable. And I gotta change the page already. Cheap foreign competition getting stronger but hasn't reached U.S. industries yet. Cheap foreign, right? Yeah, foreign competition. Getting stronger. But hasn't reached U.S. industry yet. Okay, and the next one is management. And under management, our first one is ROE and ROC are going down. CEO does not act like an owner. CEO puts self first. CEO glosses over problems. CEO sells too much stock. company buying back stock well above the value. CEO recently replaced. Debt more than 2 years free cash flow. Debt increasing. Loan to expire soon. Loan conventions close to covenants close to being breached by company. And then the last one is pricing. And under pricing, we have can't confidently calculate owner earnings. Pay more than the 10 cap price. Or pay more than the 8-year payback time price. Eight-year payback. Or pay more than the margin of safety price. Temporary issues making earnings and or free cash flow growth loses abnormal. Cash growth / losses abnormal. Okay. Temporary. What was it? Issues making earnings and or free cash growth / losses abnormal. Okay, earning per share growth and engineered via buybacks. Earnings per share growth engineered via buybacks. Future growth rate and future PE estimates not realistic. There is no event and no price drop. Price dropped, but not enough for an event to go on sale. Event produces significant fear, but may not resolve itself in 1 to 3 years. Event produces significant fear. Produces significant fear, but may not resolve. May not itself in 1 to 3 years. Okay. Event may permanently damage the business. And last one, can't understand the event, too complicated. Okay. Oof. I really got my hand going. All right. If you buy a great company, but pay too high a price, if it stays wonderful, it will eventually be worth more than you paid for it. You'll just have to wait longer. And I think that's a good thing to remember. If you can find a good company, but it's still a high price, you just have to wait much longer. Obviously, a great price is very important as a cushion against mistakes. However, if you get the business right, price becomes less of an issue. So you really need to understand the businesses. That circle of competence is really important. Making sure the moat and management is the most important thing out of it all. So that's how he finds the holes and prevents his own confirmation bias. I confirmed. Cross-examine my own argument by providing the opposite. And this is where the story comes in. First, write the story. I got out my checklist. So let's write the story. I'm going to flip over to the next one. Personal investing is much more simple. Is it? Is it much more simple? I don't think so. I don't think any of investing is simple. I'm mostly doing it because I have a very particular way that I want to invest. I don't like investing in companies that I think that are quote unquote bad or harming the world, or putting their money wherever they feel like it, paying off the CEOs and not actually producing better products, not doing stuff for the betterment of the world. So that's one thing. But on top of that, I understand that the way that the U.S. market works and most markets work is that the price that we pay for a company is not always at the value in which that it actually is, and that we see that specifically, especially in oil. And then we see those oil companies making the most money that they could be making, you know what I mean? Since the last 5, 10, 20 years, while gas prices are going up. So I'm not really a fan of that kind of shit. So I would like to be able to support and put my money where I think those things won't happen anymore. And I like to make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, so this is for the story. The first one is the principle of investing. 1. The principles of investing. Understanding. Okay, hold on. Sorry. The principles of investing. Let's take each one and apply it to Whole Foods, so that there's Whole Foods ones, but I'm going to not read those. Understanding. This is a short overview of the company. What they do and how they do it. How did I find them? Preferably from a guru starting to buy them. If I can't, explain it in one paragraph. I don't understand the company well enough. It's too hard. So I'm going to write pretty much exactly that because I'm not sure how to shorten that. This is a short overview of the company. I'm going to say short overview of the company. And then what do they do? And how do they do it? How'd I find them? And then if I can't explain in a paragraph, I don't understand it well enough. It's too hard. If I can't explain it in a paragraph, I don't understand it well enough, enough. It's too hard. Okay, and then the next one is mission. A mission is why I like it, the company's mission, and the values they express and how they do business. Why I like it. The company's mission. And the values they express and how they do business. The next one is moat. And who are their competitors? What intrinsic characteristics protects them from companies? Who are their competitors? What intrinsic characters characteristics protects them from competitors. And the next one is management. Who is running the company and my opinion of their integrity and talent? Who is running the company? And my opinion of their integrity and talent. Okay, and next. Yeah, but I don't want to index fun. Yeah, I get it. I could do that. I know I could do that, but I don't want to. I want to be more meaningful and specific about why I'm doing stuff. I don't want to just give money to whatever. Trust me, I'm not stupid. I know I could easily make money. The problem is I have extreme high morals and values around it and the way that things should work. And I literally stopped buying from Walmart the moment that I left like my hometown because I dislike that company so much. The only reason I buy from them now is because I'm in a situation where they have the cheapest food and I have to buy the lowest price stuff right now. But the moment that I get an opportunity, I will not be buying from them ever again. Okay, the next one is sensible price. Does it have a margin of safety? And then you know that between which we're using 10 cap buy price, payback time buy price, and margin of safety. Those are the three ones that we're checking on. Okay, and now we're on to number 2. 3 reasons. 3 great reasons to own this company that relate to moat management and price. Own this company that relate to moat management or price. Number 3, event. Describe the event that has put this company on sale. Will it come out of it not less than 1 or not more than 3 years? On sale. Will it come out of it not less than 1 and not more than 3 years? And then Philtown explained, now take the reasons to buy and see if we can prove the opposite is true. Describe why it sucks. You don't want to buy it. So underneath this, I'm going to make a little star and say, I think I'm just going to write that. Now, take the reasons to buy and see if we can provide or prove the opposite is true. Describe why it sucks and you don't want to buy it. Okay. And then it looks like we're flipping over the page. Taking a lot of notes on this one. Okay. Harvard Business School. Oh, wait. So this is Charlie Munger was invited to the Harvard Business School to speak on their 1986 Common Cement. And Charlie Munger said, it is in the nature of things as Jacobi knew, that many hard problems are best solved only when they are addressed backwards. Jacobi is a famous mathematician who said, invert, always invert. as a formula for solving difficult problems. So there's two things I want to research, which is the Harvard Business School (1986) commencement with Charlie Munger. And then I also want to look up who, I've never heard of this person, Jacobi. Mathematician. I'm going to say, and a quote, invert. Always invert. As a formula for solving difficult problems. Okay. And so then we're going to move on to inverting the story. The easiest way to get a decent invert story is to take each of the three reasons you want to buy this company and invert it, Dad explained. Then rebut each inversion. So, take the three reasons, invert, then rebut. Okay. Story 1, inversion. Invert the three great reasons to own the company into three great reasons not to own the company. Then invert the inversion. You can write it. I think I might write it. I just short wrote it, but I'm also going to write it the way they have it. 1 story inversion. Invert three great reasons to own the company into three great reasons not to own the company. Number 2, invert the inversion. Invert the inversion. Rebut each reason not to own. Rebut each reason not to own. Okay, and then they gave them for Whole Foods. And then they continue talking. You've been worried about trusting yourself with your own money. This is how you become certain. It's not by magic, it's by ruthless examination. I'm going to add one more protection for you. Okay, one last protection. After inverting each part of the story, this one becomes too hard to be certain. Then it goes into the too hard place. Just move it from your wish list to the too hard list. Done. No time spent on investing research is ever a waste of time. If after the inversion you actually become more certain about your analysis of the company, if inverting failed to convince you that it's not a wonderful company to buy, then you have finished your work and it goes to the wish list. If the price is right, you could buy it now. Okay, so underneath this, I'm going to say A, if when you're done, you are still not convinced, put in the too hard pile. B, if you still think it's a wonderful company, you can buy if it's at a good price. Okay. And then I'm going to make a little note. No time spent on researching is ever a waste. Just to remind myself. And then I think we've looked into these, but I think even more now it's important to look into them a little more. I'm going to make a nice big star, and I need to make sure I have Seeking Alpha. And this one, the Motley Fool. I definitely realized when I was researching my Nintendo that I was looking at the wrong thing, and it brought me to something, but I think these are the ones I really need to pick out. I think those are better. I'm not sure if the one that I was looking at was that great, but I used it anyways. Read all of it and use other people's research. Oh, wait. Hold on. Okay, so those websites and other websites like those, plus new articles, have plenty of inverted arguments about companies. What's wrong with them? Why you should invest in them? Read all of it and use other people's research to make their arguments against the company. Ask yourself, if you agree with the person's point of view, how would you support it? I'm saying use to find inversion thoughts. Okay. Here's the important bit, though. Companies are like horses. If you look deep enough, there's always something wrong with every single one of them. But is that problem enough to sink your story? Later, I sat down and I added my investment practice folders to my computer. Inside Whole Foods folders are company files, general research, pro options, con options. Playing devil's advocate on a company I love was like cross-examining my best friend. It's emotionally terrible. So I'm going to add files, because I have some, but I don't have them as nice as hers. Company filing. General research, pro options, and con options. So that way I have those to look back on. So when I'm ready to do that, which I'll probably do that sooner than later. Okay, this is practicing shares. With this investive practice, buying shares felt like a real big decision that would affect my life for years to come. Plus, I don't know how to use the brokerage platform. Literally didn't know which button I should press and when. What if it asks me questions I don't know the answer to? I worried. What if I hit the wrong buttons and lose my entire trench, or somehow buy way more shares than I meant to? What if I practiced by taking a test drive, an emotional test drive? I would pick a company I knew I liked and wanted to own, and I would practice buying a small number of its shares for a very small amount of money, an amount I would not miss. I would not care if it was on sale, not on sale, insanely overpriced, whatever. It didn't matter a bit. It was about the experience, and here's the key, it was not an investment. I would never expect to make a penny on this purchase, and instead would treat it as money that had been paid to buy the educational experience of buying shares, just like a tennis lesson. And at the end of it, I would, 1, own a company I love, which is always great. 2, maybe have lost the money forever. And 3, have practice buying shares with awareness on emotions rather than on the numbers. I could keep the shares or sell them the next day. It didn't matter. It was about practicing. And I think that's a really important thought, especially for people who are really emotional and scared, have a lot of fears and anxiety. I think that's a really big thing about investing, is being able to do some penny stocks, some paper trading first, so you can kind of see how it all works, what it looks like and stuff like that. And then B, once you feel like you have enough information, you're ready enough to go, that you're like, oh, I think I can do it, to test it out, test those waters out, kind of feel what it feels like, not really focus on the fact that like, oh, this is my life savings, but like take a little fun money, throw it at it, see how it feels, see what it looks like to you, so that way you're ready for it. I'm definitely going to probably do that. I get it. That's exactly the point. It's not investing, it's practice. A box came up asking, and this is when she's practicing, a box came up asking what kind of order I wanted. Oh no, I did not expect that. Limit order was the default, so I researched online for limit order, and Investatopia told me it meant the seller would sell it to me at the price or less. And then she goes on just talking about how she was anxious because the site wasn't resubmitting, and she didn't want to sit, and she was just sitting there waiting for it, and then she realized that she had gotten on 30 minutes sooner than like the stocks opened, and so she was just, it was like driving her crazy. So anyways, she finally saw like a little button to restart it, and she saw that she had gotten the stock. Okay, so here's what she said at the end. This was making me crazy. I was so nervous when the price fell from where I bought, and so happy when it went up one entire penny. I have literally thrown away actual pennies in the trash because taking them to a coin machine is too much trouble. What was I doing? Still, a value investor would probably keep up on the company to some extent, right? We've got to know what's happening. Wait, it occurred to me all of a sudden. What kind of regular commitment was I getting myself into? I'm not someone who likes checking stock prices. I hate having to be online every day. If I want to go on a device-free holiday for a week, don't I have to be worried about checking the market every day? Then she talked to her dad. If there's a market meltdown or something, I need to know about it though, right? Well, I guess if there's a massive crash, you might want to buy some shares in the company you've been watching for their price to go down, but you wouldn't sell the company you own unless the value is going down. You'd buy more shares of them, actually, because you know their value is fine and the price is a bargain. So, now we're going on to the homework. And the homework for this month, this week, wherever you're at, is, for her, the September practice. Pick up your favorite of the 3 companies you've been researching and write the full story and inverted story of that company. Be mean in the inverted story. Try to understand why you should not buy the company. What can go wrong? Okay, so invert 3 companies. Be mean. What can go wrong? And on top of that, don't forget to read chapter 10. So when you come back next week, we can go over the notes together. So don't forget to, if you're finding this on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, comment, or hit that bell icon down below so you know when I'm going to post. Subscribe. And leave a comment down below. How are your 3 businesses going? Where are you at? How are you keeping up? Are you figuring it out on your own? What are some questions you guys have? What is the hardest part of all of this for you emotionally and with the numbers? Let's talk. Let's have a moment. And until next time, guys. Bye.